This video is an introduction to analytics, so what to measure, when to measure, how to measure, why to measure, and so forth. So analytics is a relatively broad term. It covers techniques used to assess and improve the contribution of e-marketing to a business, and it includes reviewing traffic volume, referrals, clickstream analysis, online reach data, customer satisfaction surveys as well, and also leads and sales. That was according to David Chaffee's textbook on digital marketing. So it turns out that analytics is quite important. So firms that have a analytics strategy that is interested in data coming in actually do sustain a favorable performance outcome from that. And it's increasingly important in areas where competition is high. Then it becomes even more important. So to actually understand how consumers behave online is increasingly important in areas where competition is high. So in order for a business to successfully deploy analytics, they need to have the support from the top management and a culture for a supportive culture for analytics, and you need to have appropriate data. There's a lot of inappropriate data that you can collect out there, so we need to understand what data to collect and what meaning to extract from it. Some IT support is needed, and someone also needs to have the analytics skills, and that includes skills in statistics to understand data and to extract meaning from it. So essentially analytics is not really something new. Bob Napier, the famous CIO for Hewlett-Packard in the 60s, he already said that you can't manage what you can't measure, sort of pointing out the importance of, if you're going to manage the performance of the business, you need to be able to measure that performance, which again comes back from the overall strategy. What are we going to measure? Why are we measuring this? So when we build a website, it is really important that the website is designed for analytics techniques. So you need to build a website in a way so that you can extract meaningful data from it. So you want to know what your consumers are looking at, what are they interested in. If you put your whole website into a massive, huge, big chunk of a page, then you don't really know where people are looking on that page. So you need to break up long pages into different pages and then group content together in a meaningful way, so that you know what areas of your website people are actually looking at. And you also need to look at measuring the pathways that people use when to come into your website. So you need to look at, what did consumers search in order to land on your website? What other links may they have used to get to your website? So all these things are important to measure, to see what channels, what funnels people are using to land on your website. Now, a test that's been around for a long time, and one that is really frequently employed in terms of how to improve website quality, is what we call A/B testing. So basically you create two variations of your website. 50% of the visitors will see one version and 50% will see another, and then you have your performance matrix. You have the behavior that you want people to perform, and then you can see which one of the two versions of the website will then lead to a better outcome and performance, and then you'll adopt that, scrap the other one, and then you can do a new A/B test. Actually, the Wikipedia site for A/B testing was quite useful, so you can, if you want to know a little bit more detail with a lot of references on the site, actually, you can have a look at that. So of course there's a whole heap of different things that you can test in an A/B test. You can change the location of your call to action button, for example, where it says add to cart or buy now or whatever it is that you want people to do. Change the location on the site of that button, or change the color of it, the size of it, and so forth. What sort of headlines you are using, product descriptions, use of images, placement of images, how long or short is the text, loads of different things that you can test. There's a link on the website here as well, the slide here as well, where you can look at a website that will give you some more ideas of things that you can test in an A/B test. And one thing that is also worth looking at is what sort of device are people using when they visit your site. Are they visiting from a desktop, or are they visiting from mobile, and so forth? And this is where things can sometimes go wrong when we try to create profiles of consumers. So this says five matrices that you are measuring incorrectly, but I would argue and say it's only 5 varieties of the same thing. Because sometimes you may use your mobile to do research on a particular purchase, and but if it's complicated, if you got to fill in your details and there's a big form that you got to fill in, then that may seem a bit overwhelming to type in on your mobile. So you may leave your research there, and then you jump on your desktop. You go straight into the call for action, and as such, check out and buy the product, and then that final call for action then gets all the credit for the whole clickstream analysis, and that can be problematic because it doesn't cover that research that the same consumer may have done on a different device. Now, Google tries to mitigate that for you by forcing you to have an account and logging in, and that will give you potentially that extra amount of data that can look at the background from different devices that you have used in a more longer path to purchase. If you have a website, either for your company report or for your brand me, you should register that website with Google and open up a Google Analytics account. Register all your sub pages as well, and then Google will add like a tag page onto every page of your website. And that will give you a lot of insights about. It will collect visitor data and send that back to your own Google dashboard for processing, and it will tell you then a lot of what device people have used to land on your page, where they accessed, where in the world they've accessed, the consumer is coming from, and what path they took to land on your website, how long they spend on each of the pages on your site, what actions they take and how they click through it, and so forth, and that will give you a lot of useful insights. So it's really worthwhile to go and do that. It's not complicated at all. It's fairly straightforward. You just need to add your website onto Google, and then basically just follow Google's prompts, and you can get your own degree from Google University that confirms that you know how to do analytics. It will take you about half a day, or maybe a day if you're thorough. Now, the Facebook page insights is a little bit similar to Google Analytics. It's a dashboard that tracks the activities of fans on your Facebook page. And remember that a Facebook page is not the same as a Facebook account. You probably have an account, but a page is obviously what a business will have. And you can then click on to the Insights tab on your page that will tell you page likes, and it will tell you what who the people are that's linked on, or that's engaged with your page. Number of unique people who have seen it, what sort of engagement they've done, what they've clicked on, what likes, how many likes and comments, and so forth. So there's a link on the slide here where you can go and find out a bit more. It's just an easy way to do implementation for a business, and then look at some of the outputs from that. Again, very easy page to navigate. It's not difficult at all. Facebook obviously doesn't want it to be difficult because they are making money out of this. Actually, that's how they make their money. Now remember that these tech companies, whether it's Facebook or Google or any of the other ones, they are not your friend. They are there to make money out of you as a marketer. They are media companies, and they want you to advertise with them, only them, and as much as possible. And they'll throw out all these matrices for you that may or may not be that valuable. So it's not always about how many likes, it's about how engaged are people. What sort of behavior are you actually looking for people to do? Are you looking for them to make purchases? Are you looking for them to share content? How are you measuring those things? Why are you measuring those things? And also, what is at the end of the day the return of your investment? getting loads of likes is not necessarily a meaningful currency in and of itself. You got to look above and beyond that and think about what behaviors is the ones that are valuable for the business. And in terms of measuring the right things, I think this engagement food chain pyramid is a really good and useful model. It's almost 10 years old, but still, look at the levels of this pyramid, and you can probably agree with me that that makes a lot of sense. So at the bottom of this food chain, these are the sort of easy matrices that the media companies, this Facebook and the Googles, want you to focus on and say, oh, look how many I've exposed your ad to this amount of people, and there were this and this many people that liked it, or they rated it, or whatever, but how many of them actually made a comment, clicked onto the website, or further on interacted with you, or purchased something, and at the top of the food chain purchased and then wrote a review, recommended it to their friends, spreading the word of mouth. These are the sort of things that we are really after. So in terms of what to measure and why to measure it, look at the steps at the top of this pyramid and figure out a strategy of how to get people to behave in these ways, and measure those behaviors, not just the number of likes. I'm going to leave you with another pro tip from Moz, this time the beginner's guide to social media. So with every piece of data you're collecting, whether it's qualitative, quantitative, or coming out of or being spewed out of some analytics from a social media company, ask yourself, what can I actually do with this, and what are the business insights? So like if I have 500 likes for a Facebook post, what does that actually mean? What can I do with this? I would argue perhaps not very much. If you have positive ratings on Google, for example, or on Google Maps, that may be more valuable because that will boost your rankings with Google, and it will also be there very visible for consumers to see when they search for things. So don't get sucked into what the tech companies want to sell you. Treat them with the contempt that they deserve, and focus on what you need to measure and what you need to get out of it in order to improve the value for your consumers and ultimately for your business.